And because of what's left from all that winter weather Kristen just talked about, the roads here in Albuquerque and the northern and eastern part of the state are a mess right now. Take a look. This is a live look from nmroads.com. Anything yellow, snow-packed and icy. You want to be extremely careful driving out there. That's I-40 going east of Albuquerque through the East Mountains, I-25 north as you head towards Santa Fe. Then anything in green, that is going to be slick and slushy. Again, give yourself plenty of time out there and be extra careful. Now we want to go back to Albuquerque, where you will have to look out for black ice and slick spots this morning. Did you see some on your way in?
I did, the whole way in, actually, from Tramway. I took a Tramway, Montgomery, all the way down into downtown Albuquerque, and the whole way, let me tell you, I was driving like a little grandma because it was very nerve-wracking. So just be very careful out there, folks. We did have our David Romero, who is checking things out over off of Manal and Wyoming. He too says that things are pretty slick out there. You want to just be very careful. You know, there were plows out. I did see one plow that was out. So the crews are doing a good job trying to make sure that the conditions out on the road are going to get better. But we do want to, you know, just stress to give yourself plenty of time. If you're headed to schools in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho, schools are on a 2-hour delay, so you'll have some time to get to school. There were a number of streets throughout town, which you could visibly see were covered with a layer of snow and ice. And I think we want to go now to David. Okay, we're having some technical issues with his live report. As you can imagine, it's very, very cold out there.
Yes,
perhaps that's interfering with the live shot.
Bottom line, you need to know road conditions as you head out this morning. You can always call 511. Those, you'll get them anywhere in the state. You can also get them on our website at krqe.com. And now, Elizabeth, you're going to have a look at just how dangerous the roads can be if you're not careful.
Yeah, last night, actually an SUV took a spill into a pond right outside of Landry's restaurant. That was over near Jefferson and I-25 in Albuquerque. Just take a look at this. The SUV went over a curb, down an embankment, and across the frozen pond before the ice cracked, causing it to sink through. Now, police took the driver, 29-year-old Michael Maestas, into custody on suspicion that he was drunk. At last check, he was still behind bars.
Now, to give you an idea of what you're probably going to be dealing with on the roads this morning, all you have to do is look back to last night and yesterday afternoon. That's when there were crashes all around Albuquerque and a lot of slick and snowy roads. This is particularly here at Tramway and Paseo del Norte. And as we mentioned earlier, if you are headed north to Santa Fe, look out, give yourself plenty of extra time because there's a good chance I-25 will be just like it was yesterday. Take a look at what happened near Santo Domingo, where a truck slid off the interstate. Crews were trying to take care of the situation the best they could. Snow plows all around that area. That includes up around La Bajada, where you know anytime there is snow, it gets extremely slick, especially on that road. And Kristen, as you mentioned earlier, the issue today, not so much more snow falling, but it's trying to get some of this snow and ice to melt, right?
Right, because we are off to a frigid start and we're going to stay below freezing for most of the day. So the plows can get out there and they can try to help things out, but you're going to continue to have these icy spots to deal with because of the cold out there. Right now we're at 4 in Placitas, only 4 at Sandia Park. The Heights at 6 degrees this morning, the Sunport only at 10. And this is what it feels like out there. 0 in Albuquerque. It feels like it's 13 below up in Santa Fe, 18 below in Towson. And take a look at the Four Corners, anywhere from nearly 30 below in Durango, 35 below in Cortez, to 21 below in Farmington. So it is bitterly cold out there, and temperatures are going to stay on the cold side through a lot of the day. Highs today only in the 20s. We're talking 29 for Albuquerque, 20 for Santa Fe. Out east, temperatures only in the low 30s, and we're going to be talking temperatures staying in the teens and low to mid-teens for some of you up in the mountains. We'll still see a little snow for our mountains, and out east, out toward Tucumcari and south of there, Portales, Clovis, we're still seeing a little snow. That's going to take us time to get out of here, mainly just some light snow here and there and across the higher terrain, but the snow is moving out, and we're going to see a warm-up moving in, and it's going to help things out a lot over the next few days. I'll break it all down for you. I'll have your full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Okay, we are staying on top of all the latest weather and road conditions. For more updates throughout this morning and throughout the day, log on to krqe.com. The new legislative session begins today at noon, and there's going to be a lot of new faces this time around. But there will also be some tough discussions, right, Matt?
Oh, you're absolutely right, Elizabeth. Let's start with one thing legislators have to do in the next 60 days. That is pass a new budget for the state. That does include $200 million in new money the state's going to have. Now, some of this is probably going to go to health care, and Governor Susana Martinez wants a lot to go to your kids' classrooms. Democrats and Republicans on the Legislative Finance Committee also want state workers to get a small pay raise. However, the governor has said she really doesn't like that idea. Plus, legislators are set to once again talk about banning texting and driving everywhere in the state, stopping giving driver's licenses to illegal immigrants, and making tougher laws for people caught drinking and driving over and over again. Plus, the governor and legislators also want to talk about this idea of holding back third graders who can't read well. And this all starts again just a few hours right before the Governor Martinez gives her State of the State address. That is about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Elizabeth?
Be sure to stay with KRQE News 13 for continuing coverage of the legislative session. Our coverage begins at noon, on air and online at krqe.com. It's a breed that often gets a bad rap. Pit bulls are banned in some cities, and some state lawmakers actually want them banned across the state. Some animal lovers say it's not the dog's fault, though. Bite victim advocates say banning pit bulls will cut down on the amount of attacks. Don Glass of Animal Humane and animal rights activist says that pit bulls, though, are not the problem. It's the owners.
The fact is, dogs of this type are very loyal, they're wonderful, they're just like any other dog. They're no different than other dogs.
Alamogordo Republican lawmaker Yvette Harrell agrees, which is why she introduced a bill that would stop statewide bans on any specific breed. Harrell says banning pit bulls would make it easier to ban other breeds.
The trial for a man police call Albuquerque's Arroyo molester is set to continue in just a few hours now. And Otto Sandoval is on trial accused of sexually assaulting an 11-year-old boy back in 2003. Police say he abused a number of other boys then as well. His other cases are set to go to trial later. All right, with all the mass shootings that have happened in the past few months, a lot of people are wondering, what can we do to stop them if the people pulling the trigger are mentally ill? The answer is not a lot. We did some checking and found that people who threaten to hurt themselves or others, they can do that, but police can't do anything about it until they actually do. State legislators tried to deal with this back in 2006 with Kendra's Law. That was after, you might remember, John Hyde killed 5 people, including 2 police officers. That law made it easy for police to get people help for 72 hours, even if they didn't want it. But a judge later said that was unconstitutional.
APS is reviewing and upgrading its security and surveillance systems following the Sandy Hook massacre. News 13 got a look inside the dispatch centers at the district's headquarters, where APS police monitor the surveillance cameras installed at most schools. The cameras are motion activated and set up in hallways, libraries, cafeterias, playgrounds, and parking lots. Now, so far, they have caught vandals, tracked teachers, and have watched students. The district won't say how many of its 140 schools have cameras. The state is giving APS money to buy more. On a different note, APS sent a letter home recently to parents addressing the recent arrest of a teacher's assistant for child porn. Carrie Gonzalez, the teacher's assistant, and her husband, the former president of YAFL, are both charged with manufacturing and distributing child porn. APS says they weren't notified of the arrest until it happened. Now, in the letter sent home, the district told parents that there are no allegations that any students were involved. But some parents still wonder how much one-on-one time Gonzalez had with students. APS did put a notice on its website on Friday. Gonzalez, by the way, is on paid suspension. However, we're told that she could be fired before a criminal trial takes place if the district determines that charges are credible.
Well, later today, we should get a better idea of how kids in New Mexico are doing with the NM Kids Count report. It comes out every year, and it takes a look at just how kids are doing with everything from poverty to schools. All right.